Ooh, I can add a link on Instagram. That's good to know. That is good to know. What is going on, everybody? We are back, another solo episode. If you didn't get a chance to check out episode with Carrie O'Hara yesterday, I strongly recommend that. I forgot to go live on Instagram. I apologize to all the Instagram peeps. So with Instagram, you have to set it up, and then you have to do a stream key, and then I have to actually click go live on Instagram, which I'd forgotten to do. So if you want to watch it, you can go to YouTube. I got Matty Poachman coming on tomorrow. He is a big real estate guy, multifamily, a lot of great information on mindset and viewpoints. So I'm excited to have him on tomorrow. Then we got Jeremiah Rojas. Got to roll the R's. Coming back on next Tuesday. We're going to do a second segment there. Talking about the inner work and specifically talking to the men out there. Talking about how y'all need to talk about your problems. You guys need to talk to other men about your feelings, or you're going to continue to suffer. So I think these are the hot topics that need to be talked about. You know, these are the things that people just have these blue light glasses. The only thing is there's such a glare on them. You can't even see my eyes. That's why I'm like, it's a whole thing. I need to get new ones. And these ones always get bent too. So they're like this. Always fixing them. Blue light glasses though, essential. But today we're going to talk about why you can't relax without feeling guilty. I think this is a huge thing for people. We cannot relax. We feel so guilty about relaxing all the time. And there's a reason for it. We've trained our subconscious patterning to be in overdrive all the time. Like if you look at Joe Dispenza, or there's a really good series on Gaia, Gaia, called Rewired. It's also called Rewired. And it's a series that Joe Dispenza put together. You haven't looked up Joe Dispenza, I recommend him. I love him. Merging the science with the spirituality. In that show, though, he talks about how we are conditioned to operate in a certain manner. He also talks about it in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Really good book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Joe Dispenza, and Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza. Two great books to talk about this. But you've operated in one way for so long that your body doesn't know how else to operate. So our body is like this supercomputer and it's programmable. We don't understand that. So we've basically programmed it up to this point to be a certain way. So we got to understand our subconscious conditioning first. What is that? It is everything that happens below our conscious mind. All right. So consciously, you're looking at this live. You're looking at this video. But maybe you're not. Maybe you're thinking about something else. And you're like, oh, yeah, Jake's talking. Let me get back to Jake. Subconsciously, things are happening. You are on your mouse. You're on your computer, right? You're picking up a water bottle and you're drinking it. You're breathing. Your heart rate is going, right? So all these different things happen below your conscious mind, like what you're aware of. And this is like a survival mechanism, though, because it takes a lot of effort for us to consciously do things. It's very expensive, you know, metabolically and energetically. So our body just automates things. Same thing with driving. When we first started driving, we were very aware. It was like, okay, hands on the wheel. We got to shift. We got to look at the mirror. How fast am I going right now? What does the instructor think next to me? Am I doing this right? Okay, let me take this turn. Okay, not too fast. Like you're so aware of everything. You have to use all of your conscious mind to drive because you haven't learned any of it. Nothing is subconscious yet. So over time, you think and you behave and you feel and you do certain things driving where it just becomes second nature to you. Now you can drive to the grocery store while listening to a podcast and talking to your friend in the passenger seat, and you're not even paying attention to where you're driving, but subconsciously your body knows how to turn, exactly when to brake, how to take the turns, right? Knows the right speed. It is an interesting thing. I was thinking about this the other day in the car. I was like, I know exactly the right speed to drive on a road, like without even seeing the speed limit. I just get a feel for like how narrow the road is, how fast I like perceive the other cars coming. I can just I just go the speed I feel is natural. And it's almost always like, give or take within 10 miles an hour of where I need to be. So it's very interesting. So our subconscious systems are very, very intelligent, adaptive, intuitive, all that stuff. Now we have trained as entrepreneurs because when you got into business, you operated under pressure all the time. That's what you did, right? It was like you started your business. There's a lot going on. There's a lot at stake. Like, monetarily, was I going to be able to make enough money to survive? Was I going to make it? There was like social risks. What were people going to think about me? There's a lot of unknowns. So your body goes into kind of like a low grade panic all the time because it's trying to survive this very unknown situation of entrepreneurship. And you basically train your body to operate like this over time because you've been that way for years. Since you started your business, since you got into entrepreneurship, you've been operating like that for years. So for me, it was like with the wholesale business, that's how I was. I was out of college. Well, I started in college. I got out of college. I'm working another job, bar backing, and I'm trying to get this business off the ground. And I'm in go mode all the time. I'm like, I can't stop. I can't stop. Like if I stop, I'm going to fail. I'm going to lose money. Da, 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 da. And it was really making my life more difficult. Ultimately, it was making it more difficult for me to operate, to think clearly, to have good conversations with sellers, to have good conversations with my team and my partners and all these things, because I wasn't in the best physiological state. But over the course of those years, right, starting out and blah, 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 and even started out just from when I started cold calling, right? I was so nervous, the unfamiliarity of cold calling. And what are they going to say? What am I going to do? Do I know what to say? Like I conditioned my body to just be anxious all the time. And I did that for years, like probably until like a year ago. Let's think. Yeah, probably a year ago, I really started to, this is when I really started Built anniversary is October 1st. It's August 19th. But even before that, I really started to be aware about like, whoa, like I need to change how I'm moving through work. So our subconscious patterning, so that's why I would wake up like on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and I would just wake up and I'm already just in go mode. The second my feet hit the floor, I was just like, okay, get on my computer, check my email. I got to do this. I got to do that. Like you're stuck in overdrive. You're just stuck in overdrive. You only have one mode and it's just go. That's it. Like that's all you can do. Just go, 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 go all the time. And then it's on the weekends and it's Saturday. And you're like, oh, I want to relax. But then you can't relax. You got to go. You got to work. Because if you don't work, then you're not going to have a successful business and you won't be as good as these other people who do have successful businesses. So your mind is like very creative in ways to get you to stick with your familiar conditioning or your familiar patterning. So you'll be sitting there on Saturday and then trying to relax. And it'll be like, well, I got to do this. I got to do that. And it's like watching a show is like an existential crisis. Like you could never watch a show before you did anything productive because you would be nothing. That's how you know that if you're, because I'm kind of reframing my statement here. Is like what I do for people is I help real estate entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general stuck in overdrive. You're just one gear to go. Learn how to build from peace instead of pressure by rewiring your internal world, right? Your internal operating system. So that's a really good thing to reflect on. It's like, do I feel like I need to get things done in order to earn my relaxation? If that's the case, and that means that a big part of your identity is what you do. You're tying your self-worth to what you do, because that statement in of itself is saying, I am not allowed to watch a TV show. I'm not allowed to enjoy myself until I get things done, because my worth is determined by what I do. Okay. That's a really important thing to reflect on. Now that obviously helps us be entrepreneurs because it really pushes us, but and to a certain extent, you do need to get things done. You need to prioritize, but you need to have a healthy relationship with this doing. If you haven't taken the Enneagram, I highly recommend that. The Enneagram, it's like 9 different numbers. Let me pull up the Enneagram to see who you are. Right? Here's the Enneagram. Or let me share. Yeah, I'm going to do this. So this, here's the Enneagram. Let's pull up a good one. So you have these 9 traits, and most of us in overdrive are the achiever. You're the achiever. And geez. So you're the achiever. And you're tying your sense of self-worth. Let me yeah, I think you guys can see this. You're tying your sense of self-worth to that's good. To what you do. So the achiever gets all their sense of worth by like being the star of the show, right? Like what you do is your sense of worth. Right now, there's all these other numbers, and basically you get a number and you get like a wing as well. So I'm an achiever with a helper, meaning like I am very like what I do is who I am. I'm aware of that, and that's good though, because you need 3s. Like you need people who want to go out into the world and make changes. Like a Tony Robbins is probably a 3, or the Oprahs, and the people that are like going and doing things, Richard Branson, Gary Vaynerchuk, like these hard driving people are 3s, and that's good, but you don't want to have an unhealthy relationship with a 3, because that's where you're like kind of narcissistic and it's everything is about you and you're just trying to make yourself look good and you neglect other areas of your life just to try to make yourself in the name of being successful, right? Because you think success is going to help you. So the achiever's charming, they're pragmatic. Like they're very realistic. Like this is what works. They're success oriented and they're image conscious, right? So you can be overly associated. So you just want to be aware of it. Right now, I'm a helper wing. So I can either have a wing of an individualist who's sensitive, creative, romantic, introspective, or a wing of the helper, which is kind of people-pleasing, generous, loving, interpersonal, possessive. So the helper for me helps me balance out the achiever, because I do have that 8 of like, yeah, I have this 3 in me that is, very success oriented and image oriented, but I balance it out with really wanting to help people. And I have that deep desire in my heart to just help people and put people in the right spot. So that kind of balances that out. Now, as a 3, so you have, these are called wings, 4 and 2. And this is just a little digression on personalities, but so you have these wings, and then you have arrows. So see the 6 and the 9, the 3, 6, 9. Dang, you fine. So when you're unhealthy, you go to, I think it's a 3. So the arrows are basically like I'm a 3. And when I'm unhealthy, I kind of regress to the bad parts of a 6. And when I'm in my best element, I go to the positive sides of a 9. So that's what those arrows are. Like an 8. An 8 either has a wing of a 7 or a 9, kind of balances out these personality traits, but you also have connections to 5 and 2, right? 5 and 2. So the investigator. So when you're being an unhealthy 8, which is being self-confident, maybe you're being overly confrontational, you go to the downsides of a 5. Or I can't remember what it is. I think I'll have to look into it. But anyways, not everyone's going to be a 3, but I would see, like, take the test, go to truity.com. That's the best place to take it, and see what you come up with. So the 1 is the reformer. Perfectionist. Yeah, the 1's like the perfectionist. 2 is the helper. People-pleasing, generous, loving. 3 is the achiever. 4 is the individualist. Like I said, 5 is the investigator. This is like the analytical one, I think. cerebral, perceptive, isolated, innovative, intense, the investigator. 6 is the loyalist, committed, hardworking, responsible, indecisive, suspicious. See, like the good sides of this is they're committed, hardworking, and responsible. The downsides, indecisive and suspicious. Same thing with investigator. They're cerebral, whatever that means, perceptive. They're kind of like observant. They're perceiving, but they're also kind of isolated and intense. So they got to watch that. 7 is the enthusiast, right? They love variety and they love fun and spontaneity, but they're undisciplined. So that's their kind of downside there, right? It's interesting, actually, that I'm looking at it. Like, see how 3 is like a perfect triangle, 9 to 6? These other ones are not perfect triangles, right? 8 goes to a 5 and a 2, and 7 goes to a 5 and a 1, which is interesting. 8's the challenger. So self-confident, indecisive, which is good. But I think like, and even confident, these are all can be good and bad things. But you can be overly confident, arrogant, overly confrontational, maybe too decisive without thinking, and overly protective. So, and the peacemaker, easygoing, modest, agreeable, conflict avoidant. So yeah, the Enneagram is really good, but all that is a digression as to of the point of I was a 3, right? So I'm constantly doing things to, make myself feel better. So I became aware of this like a year ago, and I started to observe what my subconscious patterns was. Right? So our systems are designed to keep us in the familiar. So if my familiar ways of acting are waking up and just getting on my computer right away and just being on this constant, having this constant level of urgency all day long, if that's what I'm used to, my system wants to stay there, right? My subconscious conditioning wants to stay with the patterns that I have fired the most, right? It wants to stay with the patterns of rushing around and this and that. Because to the nervous system, familiar equals safe. So whatever is most familiar is thus most safe, because Jake's been thinking like this and getting up, and it's stressful to him, but he's alive and it's working more or less. So it just wants to stay there, wants to revert to those ingrained patterns, those deep grooves. So for us, we need to be aware of what those patterns are, and we basically need to train in new patterns. That's ultimately the goal. It's like we need to train new patterns, train our body to get up and want to meditate first, and then read the Bible, and then do this and go to the gym or whatever you do. And I've started to do that work, but it starts with awareness. That's why I put awareness in the B pillar. You got to be aware of everything. You got to be aware of your thoughts. Be aware of how your subconscious patterning is reacting. Are you waking up instantly feeling like you need to do things, instantly feeling like you need to do this and that, and you're stuck in this loop? You're unconscious. You got to become conscious first. And then once you're conscious, then you can practice regulating and just getting back to baseline. And once you're back at baseline, you can begin to recondition your identity. Right? We can do identity reconditioning and start to practice those things. So over time, I'm rewiring myself to get up and not need to do something right away. Right? So over time, I had reconditioned myself to now meditate. So now meditating is most familiar to me. So I just naturally do it because I've done it so many times. Like my body won't let me not meditate in the morning. I feel this deep pull. Why? Because it's so familiar. It's so familiar to my system to get up and just connect for even. It's just now it's less. It's just like 15, 20 minutes, but I just kind of focus on my breath and I let my mind kind of go, just let it go and just kind of find a little centered spot. I'm just getting into the mode of awareness. Because I wake up, my mind starts wanting to race about things I need to do for the day. But instead, I've trained my system to, I want you to think about your subconscious system like a dog. It's like an animal. I've trained my dog to sit on the couch in the morning because it's done it so many times. And now I've like, look like in my past year, really like my past 3 years, there's been more mornings that I've sat on the couch and meditated than more mornings than I haven't done that. So my system just wants to revert to the familiar. So naturally it wants to meditate. So I feel really like, and I can do it. Like if I'm traveling, I won't do it in the morning maybe, and it's fine. But like my body has an urge to do that. So that's an example of our subconscious conditioning working for us. So once you familiarize your system with a way of thinking or believing or behaving or doing or whatever it is, it now wants to keep you in those patterns. So the exact thing that's holding you back now becomes your greatest asset. Because what makes it so difficult for you to change? It's because your subconscious patterning, what you've made most familiar over the years is, your system wants to keep you in that. It doesn't know that you're trying to, grow and be more regulated. Right? It doesn't know that you're trying to get better and to be a better version of yourself and think better and operate with more peace and not be as angry. It just knows how you've been operating. That's all. Well, I've been operating like this. I've been reacting in anger. I've been being stressed out. I've been starting my day in a freaking panic. So that's what it wants to continue to do. So we have to be aware of those patterns. This is why you feel you can't relax without feeling guilty, because you've tied your sense of self-worth, for one, to what you're doing. You're probably a 3 on the Enneagram. And your body's just trained to operate like that. So being aware of these things is the first step for us to fixing them, right? Being aware. Got to be aware of your patterns, practice regulating. And that's the work, though. The work is being aware that you're operating from your old conditioning and then choosing the new conditioning. That's what the built framework is. It's like, be aware of your old conditioning. Just be aware of it first. Like, see yourself reacting in a way that you didn't even choose. See yourself just boom. See yourself just naturally getting worked up at different things, right? Like you're in the work and all of a sudden you're all over the place. Catch yourself in those patterns, right? Be aware of those things. And then when you're in those patterns, practice regulating, because you are dysregulated. It's just the bottom line. Unless you're aware of what regulation is and you're actively practicing regulation, you are most likely chronically dysregulated most of your day. Most of your day. Because we live in a very dysregulating environment, a very dysregulating world. Like, think about our nervous system's adapted in the nature where things are, for the most part, calm and the breeze is slow and the sun comes through and things take time, right, to evolve. Like, this is the flow of nature. But we've like manufactured this world of like on demand of like, da, 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 da. We gotta do this, we gotta speed. Like, that's not how our nervous systems want to live. And we're on our computer all day long. And then we got our text messages on our computer so we can get our text. People are notifying us in a Slack message. And you got emails. And then you got all these things. It's very overwhelming to our system. So we have to learn to be aware of when we feel tight. This is something I've been working on actively right now, is like breathing more. Because around 1 or 2, I start to feel my chest get like tight and like just kind of like I need to take a break. But I've come to realize that is my hypothesis here, because I never used to feel like this when I was doing outdoor work. I'd never get a tightness in my chest, right? It's because like you're at your computer and you're like this, your lungs, and you can't get, you're like really shallow breathing. It's like we're meant to like sit like this and take big, deep breaths through our stomach, chest, and head, and then slow exhales. That's how we're meant to operate. So I almost have to like subconsciously like make sure I'm almost like leaning back like this with my chest open, even doing some yoga, getting my chest open. But make sure I'm like this. And what I'm doing right now is I'm retraining my subconscious or my conditioning to make sure that I'm breathing slowly. I think coffee did a number on me. Because whenever I would drink coffee, I'd all the time. And that wasn't helpful. I've been drinking coffee in like a month. And I think yeah. I've been no stimulants, no alcohol, coffee, nicotine, no nothing. I never really did nicotine. I mean, I've had it before, but it was never like a habit of mine. But I think the no stimulants is the best. Especially if you are chronically dysregulated, like you don't want any of these things in your system. They kind of just I would challenge you to go a month without anything. No alcohol, no nicotine, no caffeine, none of the stimulants. Because I think you'd really be able to connect with yourself better. And you learn how to train your body to be. And I think caffeine's a huge culprit though, because caffeine puts you into a sympathetic state. It's not like it's a very unnatural state, right? You drink caffeine and you get this rush of dopamine, right? That's like the biggest thing. You get dopamine. Oh, I feel good. But what you end up training your body to think this is a normal state of just like, and then all of a sudden you start just like being that way in all areas of your life because you have to drink coffee all the time. So there's nothing against drinking coffee, like continue to drink coffee, but I want you to ask yourself, I just challenge you to see what it's like to not drink coffee for a month and see how you like it. One thing I do eat though is the spirulina algae, which has been a huge help for me. Spirulina algae, she describes it like the owner, like putting a log on the fire. And I think that's like the best way to describe it. You don't get that hit and that like jolt of like, oh my God, coffee. And you get that dopamine and that adrenaline, but you have a sustained clarity and energy throughout the day, like throughout the bulk of your day. And I think that is super helpful for me, at least, is taking that algae. So I kind of have been doing that, but I think that's the first step for a lot of us to becoming more regulated, is just living a stimulant-free life. And then you like, when you like stop drinking coffee and you stop nicotine and alcohol and all these things, you also like kind of reset your dopamine receptors, because those are ways to get dopamine kind of unnaturally. And now you like get excited about like having a conversation with someone or just going on a walk or like sunlight or this or that, like all these basic things start to become like exciting events for you, because you're not, or like pursuing your goals or getting on a live or making piece of social media content, like that excites you because you're not hijacking your dopamine with all of these. I don't know much about dopamine, but you're not hijacking it with all these cheap sources of dopamine. So I think that internal reset of no stimulants is huge for people, right? Especially if you're trying to get calm. So if you are not in the Built community, you can click the link below. If you want to learn more about the framework, I have some trainings in there, and I have an operating system assessment as well. That's going to help you gauge your inner world. I'm actually revamping the assessment as we speak to be even better, but even the one in there right now will help a lot. And yeah, that's all I got. Tomorrow we got Matt coming on. I will see y'all. If you have any questions, comment below. Until next time, all the peace, all the power.